Playing Split Fiction is like playing 18 games in one. That's a line that was said by my friend as we were working our way through one of the many wacky and wild scenarios this game will throw at you across its 12-hour runtime, and not once does it ever get old. Split Fiction is the next game from Hazelight, the developers of A Way Out, and the 2021 Game of the Year winner, It Takes Two, and they continue the trend here of creating unique and wild co op experiences for gamers to try, all while just wanting to sell us an honest ass video game with no loot boxes or microtransactions. You can tell that there's so much tender love and care that's put into nearly every aspect of this game, from the creative level designs to the writing, all the different places and then the worlds that we get to go to, all filled to the brim with video game, movie references that are bound to get a chuckle or two out of you and the friend that you play this game with.
We sure cause a lot of explosions.
As I do with all my reviews, let's talk about the technical performance, and this one is going to be short. I played the game on PC running an RTX 4080 and an i7 13700K with all the settings at Ultra at 1440p, and I was getting a locked 144 FPS, and rarely did it ever move from that mark. From a bugs and technical perspective, the game ran flawlessly for me and my friend, who is on a little bit of an older machine. I believe it's a 2080 and it's 9700K, and a little bit about how my friend is actually playing this game as well. So Split Fiction only requires that one person buy a copy of the game, and then that person can invite someone to play through the entirety of the game at no additional cost. So all he had to do was go to Steam, install it under the Friends Pass section, and it's that simple. This also works with crossplay, so I can invite someone from Xbox and PlayStation, and this method works no matter what, and you can do it as many times as you want as well. I have to commend Hazelight for this because they aren't focused on sales numbers, and it makes it a lot easier to get someone to play this game, and they really don't care how much money they make. They just want to make a good ass video game and let as many people possible play it. From a graphical and technical side of things, where the hell do I even begin? Each one of these levels has big enough ideas that could be expanded and spun off into their own game if they wanted to. And it's actually wild that they build all these environments, all these areas, all these mechanics, and then they just toss them out the next level just to do it all over again. Joseph Fares had this line at the Game Awards back in December when he was showing off the game for the first time, where he said, "It's hard not to be cocky when you have a game like this." Skilla pointed this out in his review, but I also just want to amplify that more here in mine and say, yeah, this is some next level shit that I've never experienced in a video game before, and it's something you 100% need to experience. And if you aren't playing it for some stupid reason because, oh, there's female protagonists, that's your own fucking fault, and you're really missing out.
Are you recording?
I record everything, man. Everything.
The plot of Split Fiction is pretty simple. You play as either Mio or Zoe, each an aspiring writer with dreams of one day getting published. And after an invitation to Raider Industries is when these two characters actually meet, and then that's when they realize they'll be stepping into these pods that are going to be scanning their minds for stories and ideas to publish. Only the thing that they don't know is that Raider wants to scan their minds for every single idea that they've ever created so that they can package and sell it off as their own. The main narrative kicks off when Mio falls into Zoe's pod, merging the sci-fi worlds of Mio's mind with the fantasy worlds of Zoe's. While there's a lot more to narratively unpack here that does kind of dive into spoiler territory, I think it's actually best if you experience that on your own and through the game. Just know that every level is going to alternate from sci-fi to fantasy and back and forth. And I like that back and forth that Zoe and Mio actually have at first, because you can really tell that the two don't care for each other. But as the game and the story progresses, they go through each other's stories. They're kind of forced to open up about all the past traumas and then the experiences that might have influenced their writings in these stories that we're experiencing. The narrative this go around was really well done, and only in a game like this could a genre-bending story work, and Joseph Fares and his team at Hazelight did an amazing job with Split Fiction. These main segments themselves will usually run you anywhere from an hour to sometimes 2 hours, with multiple segments and perspective shifts as you progress throughout the level. 1 minute you'll be in the third-person perspective, then the game switches to a top-down perspective, then it's a 2D side-scroller. Then you're back to the third-person perspective, but this time, you're on the ceiling and your friend's on the ground, and you need to work together to get throughout the level. The way that they handle teamwork in this game is something that I really did love, because it does require a level of communication with the person that you're playing through. And sometimes it does lead to some funny moments, like your partner getting vaporized by a jet engine.
Oh my god, I just got disintegrated.
There are times where trial and error is going to be the best way forward in some of these situations, but when I tell you, I was consistently blown away by the different roles that we were given in each of these levels, and then sometimes multiple times a level. You're rarely ever going to be doing the same thing here in Split Fiction, with each of these levels having a new mechanic at nearly every turn. There's one mission in the later half of the game where we're basically playing as these rolling spheres, each with their own little different abilities. And in this level, I went from being the ball to a bunch of spider drones that would make up that ball. Then those spider drones turned into a boat that I had to use to carry my friend across the map. And then that ball became my exosuit for the rest of the mission that I could use to hack different objects around the map. And this is all like in a span of like 15 to 30 minutes. And the game manages to do this like 7 more times, and I don't know how they kept one-upping themselves, but they did up until the very end. That ending sequence is wild, man. I don't know how to put it in other words than this.
Oh, now you're just showing off.
And I'd heard that leading up to it, and I expected a lot leading up to that moment, and I was still blown away. I won't show any of it here, but seriously, this was one of the best final missions I've ever played in a video game. And as you play through that main story, you'll start to notice these optional side stories that'll pop up. These are small, unfinished ideas from Mio and Zoe, and the hopes is that going through them, they'll close them out of the simulation, thus keeping them out of the hands of Raider. These are usually about 5 to 10 minute missions that take you to the opposite genre that you found them in. So if you find a side story in the sci-fi world, that side story is going to be fantasy, and so on and so forth. This game's insane, man. I don't know how else I can just. There's only so many times I can say it and without it losing that sense of weight. But it is truly insane the type of things that you're doing in this game. 1 minute you're escaping from a dying star that's going supernova, riding a sand dragon in the desert, running around as a pig on a farm. That one's funny as hell, by the way, and dark. And then you wingsuit into a valley. You heist a train on jet skis, and then to cap that mission off, you're a side scroller like Cuphead. It really is like playing 18 games in one, and honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. All these different levels, all these different layouts had me and my friend gushing over how much fun this game was. There's plenty of times where we walked into that new area during these little side stories, and we just had our jaw on the floor about what we were seeing. There are a total of 12 side stories, and I won't show you too much of them because I do believe that they are best experienced firsthand, and I don't want to deprive you of that experience. Honestly, I really just wish that there was more of them, because me and my friend, honestly, after the first couple, we actively sought them out as they would pop up just because of how fun they were, and because they only took 5 to 10 minutes to complete. But they offered up ideas that if they wanted to, could have been full levels in an already stellar game. Honestly, should I need to sell you any more on this game than I already have? Hazelight remains one of the best studios in the business when it comes to delivering some of the most innovative and fun gameplay that I've ever seen in recent years. While not everyone is going to be down for that co-op game experience, or they might just have trouble getting a person to play this game with, I think it's one hell of a time if you can get one of your best buds or maybe even your significant other for a playthrough. And the friend pass makes that so much easier to do. You get a story that has some really touching moments for each of the main characters, but also manages to tackle some pretty dark themes as well. Then they manage to mix in some of the most wild and mental level designs that I've ever seen, and I could have never seen coming. 1 minute I'm hiking with trolls, next I'm playing on a sci-fi game show, or I'm running around Candyland, or racing around on kites in a mission straight out of Sonic. I don't know how all of this works, but it just does here in Split Fiction, and it works in a way that I had one of the biggest smiles on my face when I was playing through it. Joseph Ferris and his team have shown when you set out to make an honest and damn good video game, people will show up and play it, and that's exactly what people have done, with the game hitting over 1 million sales in its first 2 days alone, and currently sitting at 91 on Metacritic, being the highest rated game of 2025 so far. Regardless of how your feelings are for co-op games, you're sorely missing out if you skip out on this one, because what was released is going to be one of the best games released this year, and a lock for a Game of the Year nomination. I 100% recommend Split Fiction, and for $50, it's easily worth that asking price. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to drop a like, subscribe to catch all my reviews and previews. Next up should be Assassin's Creed, so keep an eye out for that one. It is a bit of a longer game, so I'm not sure how long that one's going to take me, but keep an eye out for it. And as always, if you did make it this far, I just want to say thank you for taking the time out of your day, and this has been my review for Split Fiction. Thank you for watching.
You have unpaid parking tickets. Time to die.
Excuse me?